You have done everything right. And by everything, I mean you have checked all the fitness and health boxes. You've counted, you've calculated, you know exactly what you're consuming, yet you're stuck. Don't worry about it, girls. I've got you covered today. I'm bringing the science and a little bit of hope for you because it might just be the whoosh effect. Welcome to my channel. I'm Bree. I'm a personal trainer and a mom of 5 little kiddos. And over the years of mom life, I have gained and lost almost 600 pounds. Now today, I'm going to talk to you guys about how to beat that weight loss plateau, because a lot of the time we think that we're stuck and suddenly whoosh, off it comes. And it's actually a scientific term called the whoosh effect. No, it's not proven, but there has been a lot of studies on this particular effect in terms of what happens to our bodies when we lose weight. So we're gonna dive into the science and all the things that we can do to understand our body a little bit better today. So what is it? You're diligently following your fitness and health plan. You know how many macros you're eating, you know how many calories you're eating. You've been in a calorie deficit for quite some time. And you've seen the scale go down a little bit, but it might not be moving too much. In fact, it might be staying the same. In my own experience, adding in weightlifting and going into a calorie deficit, I noticed that things really didn't move a whole lot for the first month. I stayed pretty much plateaued, even though I knew for a fact I was in a calorie deficit. So then you're super frustrated when suddenly you wake up and overnight it's like, okay, the scale just dropped. It's all gone, all today. What did I do differently this week? And the thing is you didn't. You didn't do anything differently this week. This is just all the wonderful effects of what you built up to finally showing its face. And so if you've held on this long and you've been going on this journey and you've been waiting to see things move, this is probably the result of the whoosh effect. Now, the whoosh effect is commonly seen in a ketogenic diet, and that's because our carbohydrates store sources of glycogen as water. And so what that looks like is when we take away the carbohydrates, we lose water in our bodies rather quickly. And so it's very often for people who start on the ketogenic diet to see rapid weight loss in the beginning. But you know what? It's not truly weight. And that's the thing that's so deceiving, is we think that these low carb diets are the place to be because it happens so quickly. We see the scale move, but trust me, girl, go eat 12 donuts and every single bit of that water is gonna come rushing back onto your body. I am gonna share with you guys my exact data that I got over my last cut. I started a cut in August last year and it went for about 3 months. In that time, I did not see the scale move almost at all for 6 weeks. And I was really discouraged because I felt hungry. I felt like I knew I was in a cut and the data was not showing, and then suddenly it did. So shortly, I'm gonna pull up MyFitnessPal and go through all the weights for you guys to show you exactly where I was at different points of my cut. But right now, I wanna go over one more kind of crazy phenomenon that happens in our weight loss journey. And sometimes it has to do with refeeding and the way we look after we have had a exciting, fun weekend where we've had a lot of fun foods, maybe a little bit of wine, and we end up standing in front of the mirror and look leaner, even though we've spent the whole weekend doing the opposite of what we were supposed to be doing, and it's really confusing. And so I wanted to touch on this because sometimes bodybuilders and fitness models, when they're about to go to their show, they end up figuring this little trick out because their body happens to react quite well to the extra carbohydrates after being depleted for quite some time. Research has shown that refeeding or having a calorie surplus or going back up to maintenance over the weekend can bump up the body's ability to burn and also helps you kind of recover your energy that you might be lacking when you're in a calorie deficit. But I do feel like it's partially because being in a calorie deficit is really quite stressful on the body. And so when we come out of that deficit, we let our bodies relax, we let our minds relax, we let that pressure go. It's like our bodies have moved out of that state of stress and finally been like, hey girl, you can relax now. and then the water just leaves your body and you're back to this place of kind of homeostasis or equilibrium. The body loves to feel safe. And so when we add stress and dieting and exercise to our life, it is a stressor on the body. And so when we relax about it, sometimes our body does weird things. It's almost a little bit like when the girl who really wants to get pregnant can't get pregnant because all she's doing is focusing on trying to get pregnant. And then the minute she gives up on getting pregnant, she finally gets pregnant, right? I think our body is so much smarter than we think it is. Bodybuilders and fitness models often go into their competition quite depleted. In the last week before they go and compete, they end up really cutting down all of their calories and their carbs, but they strategically put their carbs back in at the right time if their body responds in a way that actually fills their muscles and makes them look leaner in the long run. So every single body is different, and knowing this about yourself is kind of interesting. I mean, it doesn't really have an effect on you if you're just the average mom like me, but I think it's kind of cool science. So I've taken the data from MyFitnessPal for my own weight loss journey, and it looks a little bit typical to what you would see for probably anyone just starting out a diet. So I'm hoping that this will give you guys a little bit of hope, especially if you're adding in that weight training, because you're going to experience a lot of fluctuations in your body. So when I started on August 31st, I was 132 pounds, 132.2 pounds, whatever. Then I went down in the first few weeks, and that likely is because of less food consumption. So there's less in the stomach, less in the gut, and of course, water loss when you're in a calorie deficit. I never go in a calorie deficit that is extreme. Only a 10 to 25% is what I recommend to begin with. And so that is what I did for myself. Of course, everyone's calories are going to be different, so I am not going to give that out for you guys today to prescribe something for you when your body is individual and unique. On September 10th, I went down to 128. So we lost 4 pounds in the first couple of weeks, which makes complete sense because of what I already told you. Then when we finally get to September the 28th, we hit a 4-week plateau. And what this looked like was 4 weeks where I stayed at 127.6. I had done nothing differently. I was continuing with my food. I can always tell that I'm in a little bit of a calorie deficit because when I go to bed at night, I feel like I kind of want a bit of a snack, but I usually just remind myself that I have this most delicious and amazing protein pancake recipe that I will have for breakfast. So I tend to just kind of wait it out and then just see if I can hold myself over till the morning and then just enjoy that big, huge morning protein-filled breakfast. If you want that recipe, I am so happy to give it to you. I have it linked in the show notes below, so just head on over there and you can take my pumpkin protein pancake recipe and make that for yourself. It's a batch that makes 6 days in a row, so you only have to prep it once and it's good to go. So after that 4-week period where I stayed at 127.6, I was just about to think I must not be doing something right. When overnight I lost 5 pounds. So that actually brought me back down to 122.2. So I think that's close to 5 pounds. So that's what I would call the whoosh effect, where we think we're in a weight loss plateau, but really our body, what it needs to do is it actually needs to get rid of the fat in a number of different ways. And so one of those ways is actually through expiration. So energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can be moved and transferred. So if your fat tissue is energy, and you look at it that way, we aren't really in control of how quickly the body excretes the extra, so to speak. So through our breath, through water, through our pee, it all kind of comes together. And sometimes it takes longer for that process to kick in than it does other times. So if you guys are in a place right now where you feel defeated, you feel like giving up, you feel like you need to cut your calories even lower, I kind of think maybe it's a good idea to wait. You never know, this whoosh effect theory could be real. And if it is, not all of us are in a plateau when we think we are. It's just our body's way of holding on to it to feel safe until it's ready to let it all go. On the other hand, there are times when we are truly in a weight loss plateau. And I want to touch on a couple of tips just before I go today, because I feel like it wouldn't be a Brianna video if I didn't give you guys something practical for you to do starting today to help you move in the direction that you want to go. And so if you do find yourself in a weight loss plateau and nothing is moving and nothing is budging, and you've truly tracked right down to exactly what you're eating, you know that you are accurately tracking your food, because that's honestly a big one. And I hate to be that girl that just says, oh, you might not be doing it correctly, but really, like, if your half a cup is really a 3/4 cup and your 1 tablespoon of peanut butter is really 3 tablespoons, you're not tracking correctly. And that is definitely going to be a reason why you would see a plateau. But if you're doing it all right and you are sticking to your calories and you are feeling hungry and you know that it should be happening, I would suggest getting some blood tests. And the reason I say this is because I went for 10 years completely missed with a thyroid disorder. I was freezing cold. My hair was falling out. I had all the symptoms of hypothyroidism, but my thyroid test, my TSH, said it was perfectly fine. If not, it was even hyperactive. So the doctors just said, you're good. Like you've got high energy, you're hyperactive, when inside my body was just like crumbling. So I always like to just point that out there, you guys. Blood tests are so important, especially if you've had kids and you're a mom and your body's gone through all those changes. Go and get tested. Go and get your thyroid checked. It hugely affects your metabolism. And so I would be sure that that is functioning before making any further changes with your macros or your calories or your fitness program. The second tip that I would have for you is maybe stay off the scale. To be honest, when you are lifting weights and you are trying to get stronger, the scale is not going to be an accurate gauge. Some people really need that information and they need that validation to see the scale go down. I found that I had my very best results in changing the way that my body looked and the way that I felt in my body when I stayed off the scale and I expected my weight to stay the exact same. And what I mean by that is I started lifting weights and I said to myself, my body is going to stay the exact same weight. I'm going to trade muscle for fat and literally not see a change in the scale. And when I didn't expect it, I actually did end up seeing a change. There was this fear that comes along with adding in weight training and thinking that we're going to get big and bulky. And that fear kept me from allowing my body to do the right thing and go through the process. You might stay the same for a few months, but you're building good solid muscle. So when your body does have that whoosh effect or finally releases that stress and you see that water and all the body fat coming off around you with all that work you've done, you will see your results. And that is super important. Another tip that I have for you is never stop weight training. When you are trying to lose weight, you do not want to be losing muscle. You will be unhappy with the results if you focus primarily on just losing weight. Weight is not an issue. We need to keep our muscle and lose body fat. And in order to do that, we never want to be on a diet or in a calorie deficit when we're not lifting weights and when we're not moving our body, because really it will be more muscle loss than we want it to be. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you guys found those tips encouraging and just some ideas that will help you understand that you can stick this out, and maybe just having that mindset of this is a long-term game and you will find that you will be way happier and start to love the process. If you guys like this video, I've got lots of other ones below. All things mom life, all things food and body, all things healthy. If you want to, I will link them in the show notes below. Please check them out, like and subscribe, and come on over and visit me on Instagram. I would love to get to know you. Please leave a comment. Tell me how many kids you have. Tell me why you love health and fitness and how it helps you. Thank you so much for being here, you guys, and we'll see you next time.